Hi everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Aaron Ryan. Good to be back with you once again. Okay, so recently I did do a video asking you what would you like me to talk about in a future video, and well, thank you to Mr. Ross Smith. He submitted his comment in and he said talk about growing up in Waterford City. So I thought, hey, that's actually a fantastic idea to do a video on. So what I've done in the past couple of days, I did compile a lot of stuff into a document here, which I'm looking on the screen, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, how on earth am I going to get through all of this? So we're going to try. I'm going to talk about each and every one of these here that I have on screen and the memories I have of them. So some of them are shops, some of them are kind of entertainment areas, some are pubs, some are streets as well. Actually, a lot of places here that had a lot of stuff back in the day, and these particular streets, all the shops are closed on them, so it's very interesting here. So up at the very top here I have Funderland of Funderworld. It was also known as the bowling alley, where PC World was in the Cork Road. It was actually up a bit from McDonald's at the time. And Funderland, I think for the life of me, I think it's called Funderland, or was it Funderworld? Or the bowling alley. Anyone else kind of remembers it as well. But me in the 90s, Funderland, Funderworld. I think it was Funderworld, if my memory is right. This is a long time ago. It must have been about 1996, 97. But yeah, I used to go out there probably every weekend. I had a mate in school. We'd always go out there probably a Saturday or a Sunday before we're back to school on the Monday, you know. So they had these kind of like a leisure centre. Do you know all these ball pins? Not ball pins, are they called ball pins? I don't know what they're called. I'm going to put them up on screen here, these things here. Okay, these things. I had one of these ball dens thingies. And anyway, this particular place had this big huge slide, okay, and you go down this slide, you literally burn the living hands off yourself, okay? You'll burn yourself because you go down this so fast, you're going to go into this big ball that thing, okay? It had arcades there as well, pool tables. It had everything a 90s kid wanted, put it that way, back in the day. It was every 90s kid's dream place just to go there on the weekend. There was another shop in town that I did like to go into because it had one specific drink that I couldn't get anywhere else. And the shop was called Pound City at the time. And I had this drink in particular, Panda Pop drink. And it was absolutely the thing to have. It was beautiful. Very refreshing. Very small bottles as well. But these things, I couldn't get them anywhere else. There was, what other shops actually were there in Waterford back in the day? You had Dunn Stores. No, that was a clothing department at the time. It wasn't in City Square. You had Porters in City Square, yes. But yeah, they didn't have that drink at all. There was other shops in Waterford, yeah. But anyway, moving on. 1997, 98 or so at the time that was. It's now Euro Shop now, or is it Euro Giant? Jesus, I should have done some research beforehand here. It's going to come up on the screen now. Okay, so next I have on the list, which is a very fun thing. I used to really love going to this place. It was the place for all teenagers back in the day. And it was down the Parnell Street. And it was ran by the late and great Mr. Danny Bowe himself. It was the Rugby Club Disco. Every single Friday. I believe the time was 7 p.m. or was it 7:30? 7:15 maybe. The DJ was called Ben. He used to arrive in one of these kind of red cars. He'd have all these speakers in the back of the car. Yeah, he'd arrive about 7 p.m.-ish. All of us would all be waiting outside the building. So when Ben comes out, all the lads would all be, hey Ben, how's it going? Let's give you a hand with the speaker. He said, no, go away, you'll break it. So Ben would go in, he'd set up all the lights, the speakers. Mid-1999 or so, thereabouts. And Danny Bowe would be on the door. He'd say, okay, you can come in now, whatever. And his hand would be out, and he'd say, okay, it's £1.50 to get in, and plus you'll get a raffle ticket as well at the time. So that was pretty cool. £1.50 back the day. 1999, not bad, you know, not bad. I suppose a disco nowadays for teenagers probably be about €10 to get into now, or €5, I don't know. But we were talking pounds back then, folks. Pounds, real money. So anyway, in you popped into the rugby club disco, and you'd be surrounded by this big hall. This hall was massive. Kind of looking at the pictures here now, it does look small, doesn't it? But back then, when you were a little kid, I was on like 10, 11 years old back in these days here. 1999, I was 11 actually, yeah. And this place was like a big mansion to me. Absolute mansion. All around the whole room, you had all chairs, and especially girls as well. Like, I'd be there, oh God, look at her, and will I go up and ask her for a dance or something, you know? And I'd be petrified. What if she says no, or, you know, yourself? So I eventually got a bit of courage into me, and I said, hey, look, why not? I'll go up and ask her. There was a song playing. What was the song? Westlife Swear It All Over Again, I think it was. And I said, look, I'm not to lose. The most you can say is no. So I went up to her, put my hand out to her, and I said, hey, would you like to dance with me? Up she went. She got up. My heart was pounding. I was saying, oh, yes, I'm in there. I can actually slow dance with a girl. I can't believe it. And then the song was still playing, and then I kind of went in and I got a bit brave, and I said, I'm going to go and give her a kiss. You know, the lights are off, and the disco lights were going nice and slow and stuff. So I said, I'll go in for a kiss. Let's try this. My very first kiss here, folks. And what happened? I got a tap on the shoulder. It was Danny Bowe himself, and he said, no kissing in here. Do it again and you're out the door. So that was enough of that for the moment anyway. Towards the end of the night as well then, a raffle be held. I think they were doing like t-shirts or something very small at the time, but it was cool. It was a cool thing. And also inside the disco as well, you had a little sweet shop. And my cousin Linda was actually working there as well. I used to get like packets of potato, packets of Monster Muncher, whatever. My dad at the time, he'd probably give me like £1, maybe £2 or so. £2 was actually a lot of money back then to get a lot of sweets, because sweets were actually cheap back then. There was no such thing back as we have now, the big huge sugar tax and stuff now that are all drinks and sweets and chocolate is all very expensive now, and you know, so I'd say back then if I got like a small bottle of Cadet Coke and a packet of crisps for like 50 pence. But yeah, that was the Rugby Club disco, and Danny Bowe as well, God be good to him. Gentleman, good times, good memories, lots of great times down there. Now we also have Besco's in Ballybricken. Besco's used to have this kind of small little pick and mix thing in there with all these little sweets, and it was just a child's dream. Any child, they walk into a shop and they just see this kind of little bowly thingy, square yolk or whatever the hell it's called, with a load of sweets in it, a load of chocolate in it, and he's going to go, wow, mommy, daddy, can I have these? You wouldn't see that anymore. Like, no shop will have anything like that anymore, you know. But Besco's also had these things here. I'm going to pop on the screen here. These mini milk ice lollies. These were out of this world. Very milky, creamy. Again, Besco's, they were probably the only store that had these things. Like Waterford back then, we didn't have a lot of kind of to offer. Well, not offer. The offer is probably the wrong word. Like more, like we didn't have the kind of stores that would you get everything and anything, and you know. But we were happy with what we got, you know. But moving on to the cinema in Patrick Street. This one also used to be called Cineplex. So moving on to the cinema. Anyone remember the cinema in Patrick Street? It was also known as the Regina Cinema back in the very early years. And a lot of the old folk today will actually remember the Regina Cinema. But for me, it was called Cineplex in the 90s. And various films I remember going seeing. Jurassic Park for one. Absolutely petrified of it. I was absolutely petrified of it. But now I love it. The Mask, I believe that was 94. What other films did I see in Cineplex in the day? 95 was Toy Story. My dad took me to see that one as well. There's lots of more films. I just can't remember off by hand what movies I actually saw back there. But I remember the last movie I did see in there was Mr. Bean's Holiday. That was back in 2007. And sadly, in 2008, when Ireland had the recession, so it kind of did affect a lot of stuff here now. So in 2008, the cinema did close down. As you can see on the screen here, this is what it looked like when it did close down. It's a very sad kind of picture to see, isn't it? And it did recently reopen again. I think it was 2014 or so, as Omniplex Cinema. Now, I haven't been in there yet. I've seen the pictures inside. It does look looks pretty cool. But yeah, it's nice to see it back open anyway. Now, my favourite time of the year in Waterford City, of course, is the annual Spree Festival. Now, Spree, 1992 was born, Spree. And I believe, if my memory is right, the Saw Doctors, they played in Jury's Hotel, or the R3 at the time, back in 1992. They also had their very first kind of street theatre as well. They had all the acts. You'll see on the screen here now in any second where you'll see the very early days of Spree there, and lots and lots of great memories with Spree. They had their very first parade actually in 1993. And I remember that well. I've been to every single one. I haven't missed one Spree yet, except for 2020, of course. There was Spree was actually cancelled this year due to what's going on at the moment. But you know yourself, Spree will be back again next year, and will be bigger and better than ever before. So I really do look forward to that. But yeah, Spree is a time where it's a great weekend. It's a fantastic weekend. Yeah, you have folks from around the world. They'll always travel over to Ireland, come into Waterford City to stay for a week, maybe a week. Spree will have entertainment on from that Friday all the way up to that Sunday night. And boy, is it a cool weekend. You have bands playing in the street, you have street theatre, you have the Spree Parade then is on the Sunday night. And then you have the fireworks as well, and to finish off the whole weekend to wrap things up then for until next year, you know. So it's a fantastic weekend to spend time with friends and your family. Have fun, it's all free. It's free entertainment, so you can't beat it. Now, before Spree was born, this is 1991 now or so. Yeah, 1991. I believe the Little Red Kettle was involved in this. But Tír Fáilte Tán, I think it was called. Tír Fáilte, yeah, something like that. But it had a mini parade. The parade was actually going down Michael Street, down Broad Street, down Barron Strand Street, and then onto the Quay, which is the original Spree Parade route as well. And they recently went back to it as well, that route going through the whole city centre, which is cool. But during the kind of day of this event in 91, there was a big float called Gulliver. But during the day of this event in particular, they had a big inflatable Gulliver kind of float that'll go around the whole city centre. He'd be up in Ballybricken, he'd be down in John Roberts Square, outside Supermax. You'll see on the screen here now, so... But yeah, these are pictures that my parents took back in the day, and yeah, you would believe that I was absolutely petrified of that too. I was scared of everything as a child, traumatized, absolutely traumatized. But hey, looking back is funny now, you know. They were good times. Now another place here. I mentioned Besco's earlier, but there was another shop I used to go to as well during school. As I went to Mount Sion, there was a shop down at the very end of Common Hill, and it's still there today. Still run by the same man, Shawnee, and a shopper each. And he has everything there, blaz, sweets, you name it, it's all there, you know. He's a gentleman, Sean. He is Sean Hayes. That's his name, Sean Hayes. He's a nice man. He's still going strong down there in Shoppereach. Every single day, well, Monday to Friday when I was at school, but pop down there at lunch break. All the sweets and, yeah, everything was down there. It was really cool shop to hang out and talk to your friends, sit outside the door or whatever. Yeah, Shoppereach. Now, as I did mention, school, Mount Sion Primary and Secondary School, that's where all the memories kind of stay at there, you know, with all your friends going to school and that. And they say it's the best time of your life because, well, it is if you think about it. School is the best time of your life because you just make friends there, you know, and the kind of sad thing about it too is then when you kind of finish school, you go this way and they go that way, and you're kind of saying to yourself, will I ever see them again, you know? It's sad, but school is where you create all the memories. You learn things, obviously. Well, your parents teach you a lot, but school does play a big role in your life. And especially with teachers and night teachers, get suspended. Yeah, we all did it. We all did kind of misbehaving in school, didn't we? But look, it might have been bad at the time, but when you look back on it, they weren't as bad as it was back then, you know, like setting off a fire alarm in school as a prank. It's funny. Back then it was stupid. But if you think back, and they're just harmless fun, you know. And I had lots of cool teachers in primary and secondary school in Mount Sion. Bill Doherty in Mount Sion Secondary School, probably the nicest teacher I've ever had in school. Primary school, Brother Dowling, he was the principal at the time. There used to be every Thursday in primary school, but I used to do hurling there. Now, I can't remember the coach we used to have in school. If someone can remember being in Mount Sion Primary School in the 1990s, who used to be the kind of coach for hurling? I can see the man in my mind, but I can't think of his name. Now, every single Friday after school, my dad used to say to me, if you've done all good in your tests and whatnot in school and stuff, he'd bring me down to a place called Strand Video Shop to rent out a game, Super Nintendo game. Now, Super Nintendo, probably the best console of the 1990s. Had Super Mario World, I had F-Zero, had Star Wing, Super Mario All-Stars, everything. Every single game on that console was just brilliant. But every Friday, we'd go down to Strand Video, pick out a Super Nintendo game, have it for the whole weekend. Yeah, perfect time. And I'd be down in Strand Video, and I'd be saying to myself, all right, what game will I get, whatever. And my dad'd be looking for videotapes up the top, what video to rent out for the weekend or whatever. And he'd come down, well, did you pick a game yet? And I say, no, not yet. And we'd be in there probably for the 2 hours. You know, so innocent times. Strand Video. Next up then as well, speaking of videos, he also, in Waterford, he had another place called Bernie's Video Shop. Now, this was originally called Crosslane Video as well. If anybody remember the Beefy King Chipper down on the end of John Street, and KFC was beside it, but behind those two cool buildings at the time, we had Bernie's Video Shop. Now, another one here is Lord's Pub. Now, this is actually known as the Ginger Man at the moment now in Waterford. But Lord's Pub was a pub, you kind of go in, you have lunch or your dinner in there, and they still do that today. But in Lord's Pub back in the day when the folks would be down doing their shopping, we'd nip into Lord's Pub as well. And yeah, it was a nice place to be at. Still active as ever as well. And they haven't changed one bit. All the inside is still the same, just except different staff. But yeah, the Lord's Pub, good memories in there. Now, speaking of pubs as well, we also had the City Arms Pub, which used to be kind of in City Square and outside City Square, if you get me. So you could be inside City Square, but there used to be a shortcut there, like a little tunnel you go through, and you're into the City Arms, which is now River Island, I believe. It's now River Island. On the High Street kind of part of... Go through Arundel Square entrance to City Square. That used to be on this side there. And every time when the parents and I would kind of visit the City Arms, I'd always have to get gravy and chips because I wouldn't eat anything else. And don't ask me why I always went for gravy and chips. I don't know. Maybe I just kind of fell in love with it the second I ate it first. I don't know why. It's funny looking back. But the City Arms was a huge place, one huge room, and lots of tables and chairs in there. And every single St. Patrick's Day as well, It was the place to be as well, because after the parade, the second that parade is finished, you leg it up the road, you run into that City Arms and the whole place is jam-packed, and you're guaranteed to meet everybody you haven't seen in years. So it was the place to be back in the day. Also, another familiar shop as well as Porter's in City Square. I did mention that there was a shop, Shoppereish. Yeah, there's another shop called Porter's in City Square, and that was kind of a place to hang out as well back in the day. And Porter's, they had kind of everything. They had like cards, they had magazines, gaming magazines as well. Remember the days where you actually go and get a magazine and you get a demo disc with the magazine? Those are the days. All gone now. Like, there's no such thing as like a demo disc anymore, because everything's kind of going digital now. Like, look at the PlayStation 5. You have all DLC content now you can download and updates and stuff. So, but these were cool things back in the day, you know, like you can actually get a demo disc, try out a game before you actually go and buy the full copy, you know. Now, speaking of Porters as well, I vaguely remember about 1999 or so, there used to be a joke shop outside of it. Now, it's not a shop as in a building. It was actually like a big stall kind of thing. It had a small little roof over it. And they had all these pranks you could buy, little toy prank yoki thingies, whatever they're called. They had a lot of cool stuff, put it that way. Back then it was like £1 or something, or 50 pence, 20 pence or something for a little small pranky thing, whatever. Funny times. So another place growing up in Waterford I used to always visit. I kind of spent nearly all of my childhood out here, grew up out here basically, is Tramore. Beautiful place. It has Tramore Amusement Park, which every child loves, especially me back in the day. Also familiar as well in the arcades as well. You had Freddy's Arcade, and you had Strand Leisure as well. There was another arcade. And I'm very familiar with the memory here of passing those arcades. You'll always hear the sounds of the Arabian Derby or the Kentucky Derby. You had the Arabian Derby, I believe, was up in Freddy's Arcade, and you had the Kentucky Derby down in Strand Leisure. And by God, every single time you passed there, you'd always hear it on a loop. And I used to always feel sorry for the worker there that was stood there all day just having to listen to that track over and over and over again. Also in Tramore as well, this was actually made back in, built actually in 1992, but it did not last long. It lasted up to 1995. It was Celt World. I was very young at the time going in here, but I do recall a big kind of a tree thing and a big talking head that would come out of it, and traumatized. But in 1997, it was actually the home to dinosaurs as well. There was a kind of a robotic exhibition of this dinosaur thing in there, and that was pretty cool for the time. That was, wow, that was amazing part then, you know. That was actually pretty cool. And also not forgetting as well, when you're on the way out to Tramore and back, you'd always see the late and great Toddy Morrissey as well. You'd always give you a wave when you're on the bus, you know, and the bus driver would always give him a beep. You'd always see him by the halfway house. Now, speaking of sweets, as I do remember a while back I was talking about sweets, well, there was another sweet shop in town as well. It's actually where Centra is now. And it was called Wiley's Sweet Shop. It was actually next door to Revolution Bar as well. But Wiley's, they had a lot of good sweets in there as well. I remember kind of venturing in there on school break as well. Another shop as well that I used to go to when you get pocket money was a little shop on Barrack Street. And it used to be called Ray's. And opposite that, you had a bookie shop as well. But this particular shop, Ray's, was the place to kind of be as well. I used to always get me sweets out of there. And at the time of Ray's, well, over in Ballybricken, you had another kind of competing sweet shop as well called Dennis McGuire's. And we'd be kind of in between. I'd be, what I do with the pocket money now? I have £1 to spend, so will I go to Ray's or Dennis's? Which one is cheaper? You know, that kind of way. And you'd be into kind of Ray's, you might say, yeah, I'll have a packet of Monster Munch, Twirl, Animal Bar, packet of Eye Poppers, those savory sweets, and the rest in jellies. All that for 50 pence.
Really?
Back in the day, you know. Like a bar of chocolate back then was like 10p. Come on. Now it's like €2 and Don't even want to talk about it now, what the prices are of sweets nowadays. But 10p for a bar of chocolate. You have like 10 pence for a packet of crisps. All the jellies were 1p each. So if you have, say, like 20 pence left, you could say, yeah, I can have the rest of that in jellies. You know, so innocent times. Also, taking a venture back down to City Square. Now, before, which is now gone, Debenhams, but before that, we had Roach's Stores that was in that premises there at the time, and it was a big, huge kind of big supermarket, similar to Dunnes Stores supermarket as well. But in Roach's Stores, I remember at the time, there used to be, as you're walking through all the aisles, you could say you go up at maybe about the frozen meats aisle, and there'd be someone there on a little stand. They'll have a little frying pan there, and they could be cooking chicken, they could be cooking steak, they could be anything. And you can just go there, take it, eat it. Yeah, that's nice. I'm gonna go and grab whatever the hell she's cooking there because it tastes nice, you know. So that was kind of cool. They were promoting what they have, you know, their own kind of brand of stuff down there, and you could actually sample the food down there. You know, you'd even smell the food before you even walked into the supermarket. That was cool. So you could kind of venture down the town. You say, I'm gonna go in here now, starving. I won't bother buying it, and I can just go in here and pick a nibble at that or whatever. Also as well, I was kind of too young as well now for this, but 2003 is my kind of only memory here. But Flash's Pub on High Street, we all know Flash, very good and well, nice man, gentleman. He owns Revolution Bar in Waterford, and well, Flash used to have his bar in High Street, and I remember going in there on St. Patrick's Day 2003, and I remember they had kind of a stairs there. You go up the stairs and there used to be kind of a room where they had live music. It was pretty cool. It later became what was the name of the bar? The Ultimate Bar or something in 2006, 2007. They had karaoke in there. And 2014, 2013 thereabouts, it became the City Arms again. Stephen Wadding, he reopened the bar, and he brought City Arms back to Waterford City again. But that's now gone again, so it's now Flames Bar and Restaurant. But Flash's Pub 2003 is my only memory there, St. Patrick's Day. But from what I remember, it was actually a very busy bar. The atmosphere was fantastic in there. I believe as well, someone told me about the bar as well, that Flash's Bar was the first pub and only pub as well that actually served a pint of Smirnoff Ice on draft as well. If anybody can confirm that or correct me on that, that would be fantastic as well. But that does sound cool. Imagine a pint of Smirnoff Ice. Not a bottle, a pint. Oh, I'm getting thirsty now. Also as well, then back in when I turned 18 in 2006, where I ventured, and 18, you're still growing up, you're still a kid, I think, at 18. But where I used to venture was Ruby's nightclub, Muldoon's, Oxygen, which used to be Merlin's as well. But Ruby's nightclub, that used to be a snooker hall as well in the 90s. Pot black snooker hall there as well. For the old folks as well, back in I think it was the 60s, 70s as well, it used to be Winston's Besco's, and Muldoon's as well. Oh, the memories. Every Monday there used to be a band on. It could be Avalon on in there or whichever, and you had Ruby's Lounge. So if you like the kind of live band scene, you can pop into Muldoon's for 1 or 2 pints, then stroll across then to Ruby's Lounge, you have another band then, and then you could either say I'll end the night then either upstairs in Ruby's nightclub or upstairs of Muldoon's, which used to be Oxygen, or Merlin's Club, as others would remember as well. But Ruby's had all the cool music. It had Ruby's opened in 1998, just after Club LA closed down, and Muldoon's as well. That you just meet everybody and anyone in there. Good times. Now, as I talked about earlier on about the cinema in Patrick Street, well, there used to be a chipper opposite that cinema. And this chipper in particular called Skipper's Chipper. I think it used to be called the Emerald Isle or something back in the 80s. But I remember as Skipper's, and I remember the whole bag. Like the way they say, do you want salt and vinegar? And you say, yeah. Now, this chipper in particular would smother the whole bag in vinegar. Now, I love vinegar, so I'd even drink a whole bottle of vinegar if it was given to me.
Oh, hell no!
But you'd be there eating your chips and whatever the hell, and then all of a sudden a big hole at the end of the bag will form and all the chips will just fall out, you know, and you'd be like a dog if you saw, Jesus, you know. So the chips were nice. I think it had to be lard or beef dripping, whatever they cooked it in back and then, but it was really, really nice and greasy, just perfect. It was nothing like you get today now. Like, I know a lot of chippers, they've kind of changed their aisles now to kind of make it more healthier and stuff, but you can't beat the traditional way, you know, where you have the pan, you have the beef dripping, the lard, and perfect. Another pub as well, it's very popular in City Arms, is Egan's. Egan's pub, every single Christmas time was perfect in there. Christmas Eve especially. Finish up your kind of Christmas shopping, in with the parents down to Egan's, you meet up with the family as well, sit down, just have the crack, you know. I remember Egan's had a pool table. I'm familiar there's a pool table by the toilets. You're in there and you turn left, but Egan's is huge, but it's now gone actually, as you see on the screen here. It's now Penny's. Penny's is actually moved in there now, so yeah, Egan's was a cool place though. I think if Egan's had not have been knocked down but demolished, I think it could have been back open and all by now, you know. It would have been nice to see. Also back in the day as well, where I used to get my haircut, where my dad brought me to get my haircut, would be it's where the Hub Bar is now, but next door to that there was a barber's called Algie's Barbers, or actually, well, it's the Hub Bar now, but before the Hub was called the Wacky Apple Bar. So Algie's Barbers was actually there when the pub was the Wacky Apple, and Algie, he was a legend, you know. He wouldn't cut the head off you, know, like some other barbers can be butchers, you know, they'd really tear the head off you know, but Algie was very sound. He was nice to talk to, he'd be very gentle with you, you know. He always make you laugh, and I think every kid of the 90s went into Algie's in town and Waterford. Also as well, the De La Salle Centre. I remember the De La Salle Centre. And I remember there used to be a squash court. And now I was never in the squash area, but my friend and me, we have a kind of a really wild memory of the De La Salle Centre, because there used to be a door there, and they had this little buzzer with the key code thing. And if you get it wrong, an alarm will go off. They had a bar in there at the time, but an alarm will go off in there that someone tried to open the door or whatever. So my friend and I were kind of there. We'd be saying, right, let's try again. Come on, we'll try and get the digits right this time so we can sneak into the squash court. And we always got caught. There was a camera there as well. So we set off the alarm again. One of the lads came out of the pub, said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And we were saying nothing. We legged it. Your man, he chased us down the street, you know, so... funny times. All we wanted to do was just go in and watch whoever the hell was playing squash, you know. We didn't want to do any harm. Also as well that I remember as well, up in Morgan Street is where the hypermarket is, the hypercentre now, but that used to be the L&N, and I believe the L&N was also down at the very bottom of Pantry Street as well. So there was two L&N stores in Waterford, one up in Morgan Street and one in town as well. But the L&N store I remember very well. This must have been about 94, 95, thereabouts. But it was pretty cool. And you'd also have, on St. Patrick's Day as well, before the parade would hit downtown, they'd have all the floats that start up outside there. So, pretty cool. Another fond memory as well is the R3 Hotel, or Jury's Hotel. The beautiful hotel overlooking the beautiful city of Waterford. Especially at night time, it was absolutely fantastic to see all the lights lit up over there and all the apartments as well. But Jury's Hotel, I was there in, I think my aunt had some kind of a work do going on, I think, and there was some kind of function going on, but I think it was 91, 92 or so, but there was a disco there and I was invited to go to it, and I remember winning some prizes there. I can't remember, but there was kind of a raffle thing going on, and I won some kind of I don't know what they were. They were kind of stone figure things. I don't know. I think they were like Greek mythology kind of things, but I'm not sure. But that's my memory of R3 Hotel. And then my cousin, she had her 18th birthday party there in 2004, and DJ John O'Shea as well. He'd done the disco fire. And that was pretty cool. But the R3 Hotel Jury's, it's kind of sad to see the condition it's in at the moment. But hopefully with the North Keys development going on now at the moment, so that should improve things. Maybe in a couple of years' time now, there is plans to have the R3 Hotel back, and it should be hopefully, I think it's a 5-star hotel, I believe I was told, with a bar on the roof as well. So that does sound very, very cool. Also as well, Abracadabra, I did mention that earlier, but Abracadabra was also on Michael Street as well. It's actually where well, next door to where Paddy Power's bookie shop is now. But I remember Abracadabra in there. The kebabs in there were absolutely amazing. I still remember, it's funny as well that you can remember a taste of something. It just never goes away. It's like the taste in your mind. You can remember the taste of something, even though you just can't taste it anymore. But their chili sauce on those kebabs, I remember that well. It's like I can still taste it. It's still there. Every kid in the 1990s in Waterford City and the 80s and the 70s as well, we all went in to Shaw's. And where did we get to Shaw's at Christmas time? Well, to see Santa. I think every child in Waterford have that special photo of when they're young, sitting on Santa's lap in Shaw's. But Shaw's used to have this big furniture place upstairs as well. The same friend as I mentioned earlier on, we used to sneak upstairs in Shaw's, and we'd be jumping up and down on the beds, and we get thrown out of Shaw's because get out of there, stop jumping on the beds, and yeah. A lot of mischief we got up to. But I remember that big furniture area upstairs in Shaw's. All the beds and everything. It was huge. We also had as well chippers. I had mentioned Skipper's chipper. Well, I remember there's a certain chipper and a certain gentleman as well. Ballybreaking chipper with Angelo. The original Ballybreaking chipper. Not the one that's there now. It's completely different. But every single time I ventured to Ballybreaking chipper, it's always a cheese chip I'd always get, and 2 plain sausages. And he'd always ask me, do I want the sausages in or separate? And I'd say separate, because then if, like, I had a little kind of a key thing here. I was thinking if he would have put the sausages in on top of the cheese chip, it'd be less cheese chips then, so with him putting separately, he'd say, oh yeah, I can put more cheese on it now. You're not going to waste. So he'd do it perfect as well. He'd have this little small white tray, scoop of chips in there, in the bag, big handful of cheese on top, then more chips, then more cheese. Perfect. I can still remember it. It's just perfect. He's now up in the Marion Chipper now, up in Lower Yellow Road. So if you're in Waterford City and you do fancy some kind of chips, and if you do venture to the Marion Chipper, tell him Aaron Ryan was talking about you on a YouTube video. He used to always get cheese chips off you when you were in Ballybrickin. Also in town as well, you had Finn's Camera and Computer Shop was on Michael Street as well. I remember in 1997, that is where I actually got a Tamagotchi. He used to have all these little kind of toys, not only cameras and computer stuff. Like he had an Atari there, he had a Sega Master System and whatnot, but he also had little kind of toys as well. But I remember getting a Nano Puppy Tamagotchi in there, and by God, brought it to school one day. I forgot to put the thing on silent and beep. The teacher said, give that to me, and I said no. So the teacher ended up getting the Tamagotchi off me. The thing must have peed in his hand, whatever, and the thing started beeping, and the teacher went ballistic, threw the Tamagotchi on the ground. The whole thing broke into smithereens, and I was mortified. The thing must have been about 12 years old, virtually, and it's dead. Also as well, when I turned 18, my very, very first legal pint, was in the Bank Bar on O'Connell Street. That was 2006. And the Bank Bar, that was a nice bar as well. The 11th of August. My sister at the time, she said she's going to go up and get a tattoo, up to the tattoo of her on O'Connell Street. And while she was doing that, I said, hey, I'm going to go into the Bank Bar and have a pint and chill out as well while I'm waiting on her. So I remember when she came back to me, there was a little kind of a beer garden place. We went outside to that beer garden there, and the place was huge. It was like, obviously it used to be a bank, but it failed as a bank and reopened as a bar, and it failed as a bar as well. So the place just didn't have any look whatsoever. But the beer garden was nice, so I liked it. It was okay. It's just a pity it's kind of gone now though. Then you had Waterford City music fans as well. You had Rainbow Records, and now that used to be down on John Street now, and for the life of me I cannot remember that kind of that area it was in. It's opposite of where Revolution is now, but it's a white door, and it used to be in there. Rainbow Records used to be in there on the side, but I can't remember that little entrance, what it's called. I should have done some research on this, but Rainbow Records, it used to be in there. They'd have all the music. They also had games in there as well. I believe they had games in there at one stage. Then, speaking of music, you also had Sinnett's Music Shop as well on Michael Street. Sinnett's, they also had lots and lots of cool CDs I got there through the years, and you had BPM Records as well, speaking of music. And BPM and Sinnett's, they were the kind of stores back in Waterford where every DJ got their music from, especially BPM. And then for all the video game lovers as well, you had GameStop. When it used to be upstairs in City Square, you go up the escalator and GameStop would be up the very top, and when you walked in the door there was always a kind of an area there where they have the PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 set up, and you could play games all day. Also then at Christmas time as well in the 90s was pretty fun to grow up in, because what I used to do was going around carol singing at Christmas. Kind of like a way to make a bit of money here was we'd knock on some doors and probably sing the first Noel or Jingle Bells, whatever, and we could get like about £2. You know, we'd go around to probably this block or whatever, this street or whatever, and we'd go through about probably 20 houses. We'd probably make about £20 that night. Like, it was a lot of money for like a child, you know, but carol singing at Christmas time back in the 90s is way free to make a quick bit of money, you know. Harmless fun. And then also on Thomas Street in Waterford City, there was a shop I used to venture to as well. This shop here is going to come up on the screen for you now, and it was like a Christmas shop. But I remember there was a woman that used to work in there, and she was very nice as well. They'd have all the jellies and lots of great stuff in there. The next one is very, very popular, and I believe like we have Smith's Toys now, and there's other toy shops now more widely available in the world. But in Waterford City in particular, back around this memory spawns back to about 1998 or so. But in Waterford is where Boots is now, Boots Pharmacy now, but we had Fitzmaurice's Toy Master, and believe me, back then, when you walk into that store, you were surrounded by every single toy you could ever think of back then, you know. And what I remember is when you go in the door and to your left hand side, I believe there was like a sweets section there as well. There was lots of sweets, you know, like all them pick and mix things, and the counter was on the left if my memory is right. But as you explore around more than to your right hand side and whatnot, you were surrounded everywhere by toys. They had aisles and aisles and aisles of toys everywhere. The selection was absolutely huge, and it was probably, I think it was probably one of the best toy shops we ever had in Waterford. I'm not sure, I can't remember how long it lasted. I think it lasted for a good 2-3 years or so, and then it closed down. Which is now in the premises now is Boots Pharmacy, and the layout is kind of the same. It still has that big spacious look, and when you're in Toy Master as well, the biggest one as well that we all remember is there was an upstairs part as well. And once you went upstairs, you thought downstairs had a lot of toys. Well, upstairs was just even more. There was more stuff upstairs. More than you could ever imagine. Upstairs was like the gold mine. All toys, everything was more upstairs as well. And I think that's where a lot of 90s kids as well spent a lot of their times as well, especially coming to around Christmas as well. They say, oh yeah, I want to get this for Christmas and I want to get that for Christmas, and that's gone now, you know. Like Smith's is okay, it's good, but you just can't beat originality with Toy Master, Fitzmaurice's Toy Master. That is where it all begun. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, we had a Strand Video Shop, we had Bernie's Video Shop, Cross Lane Video and whatnot. But there was also another good one as well. We had Extravision, and Extravision on Parnell Street, and you also had Extravision in Ballybricken as well. That's where I spent a lot of my childhood as well, in Extravision. And I believe I remember getting a couple of N64 games in Extravision in Ballybricken as well. They had a lot of good VHS tapes as well, a lot of good video tapes as well. And I do remember getting told a lot of times that you have to rewind the video on return. I don't know how many times I got caught doing that. You'd be walking in the door all happy, blah blah blah, and you put the tape back up on the counter for the person to collect the tape from you, and straight away they take it out of the box and they check if you rewound the tape, you know, and if you didn't rewind it, I told you, rewind the tape, be kind, rewind, or else you're going to get like a fine the next time, you know. All those kind of memories, you know, like the days of just I have to rewind the tape before I get back because I'll get a lecture if I don't, you know. But it is a kind of a sad situation now that Extravision is no longer here, and everything is kind of, you know, like the streaming world is taken over now. You know, you have like Netflix and whatnot. They're all the kind of things now where you can just watch things digitally. You have Netflix, you have Amazon Music, you have iTunes and Apple Music. Everything now is all these kind of things now are now the kind of future, you know. But you can't beat the old days of going into like Extravision or Strand or Bernie's Video Shop on especially Extravision anyway on a Friday, when they used to have their popcorn section there, and they had all the crisps, they have all the sweets, the jellies and everything, and then just picking a movie. You go to the Extravision with your girlfriend or your boyfriend for a Friday, see what movie you can get, and you pick a movie, then you get your popcorn and away you go back down, spend a nice romantic night then watching a film or whichever, you know. These were the kind of times, and you just can't beat them days. Now, another one, folks that went to Mount St. School will remember this one as well. The Edmond Chapel. That's right, on Barrack Street. And it's no longer there as well. But I remember lots and lots of memories going into that Edmond Chapel. A small little chapel beside the school. I remember the windows. The windows had all these kind of coloured kind of windows. And when they had the candles on in the church and the chapel, all the windows would light up. It was really, really nice. And I believe as well that we done a lot of kind of choir singing as well in there from school, coming up to around the Christmas period as well. And the chapel was also kind of popular for as well. Do you know when like you kind of finish up in primary school and you're in the transition then to go from primary school to secondary school, they'd hold like a small little kind of mass ceremony in there, you know, and it was just beautiful. It was just really nice, you know. And then especially then when you kind of graduate, when you finish up secondary school as well, then when you finish up 6th year, they'd also have that the kind of graduation mass in there, you know. It was a nice little church, nice little chapel, beautiful place as well, especially if you're kind of walking around the town and you kind of want to unwind, something bothering you as well. It was nice to kind of just nip in there, you know, and just kind of sit on the bench and just kind of think away to yourself, you know, all your worries, all your problems. And when you're thinking of your problem as well, you kind of picture them problems being thrown away, you know, unwinding. It was a really nice chapel as well. Also as well, walking around Waterford City back in the 90s as well, as a kid I always saw these buses going around everywhere, and I believe like they were big buses, but the imp buses, the very old imp buses, you'd always see them going down Patrick Street around it to Arundel Square when it was open to traffic back in the day. But these old imp buses, man, it just kind of takes me back looking at the pictures here. All those imp buses had a kind of unique look to them, didn't they? And they were very small, but hey, they were cool. They were compact back in the day, and they were built to last. Let me tell you, they were built to last. The old imp buses. Now, another area as well that's very popular today to hang out in, and you'll also see a lot like teenagers or kids hanging around, and a lot of events goes on in there as well. It's down in John Roberts Square, but back in the day, there was no kiosk down there. So, well, today we have a kiosk now. You can go down and you can get a coffee, or you can get something to eat. You can sit down there now and you can watch the world go by. But back in the day, there was no kiosk whatsoever there. It was just all kind of open, and it kind of does look a bit strange now, looking at the picture there without that kiosk there, because would have been there for quite a number of years now, and then to picture it being gone, it kind of does look very open now, you know. The kiosk is a very popular place as well, where people like to after shopping or whatever, or go for a quick bite to eat or a quick coffee or something. They always kind of just chill out of the kiosk as well and just watch the world go by, you know. Back then days you could open up the street to traffic, but it's all kind of, a lot of streets are all pedestrianised, which explains the next one here is Michael Street. When Michael Street was open to traffic, you used to be able to drive down Michael Street, but I remember when you had to stay on the footpath from Michael Street to get across either to Widger's Butchers at the time, or Algie's Barbers, as I mentioned earlier on. You had to cross the road there, but nowadays you can just kind of walk straight through Michael Street and down through the middle of town, you know, through the centre of town, and you don't have to worry about crossing roads or anything anymore. That's all kind of a thing of the past now. But yeah, those were the days as well when Michael Street was open to traffic. Also as well, very young age too, but you just can't help but love the smell of this place as well. As you go down to through John Roberts Square, and you pass down to George's Street, that's it, George's Street. And there used to be a shop then called Phelan's Tobacco Shop, Phelan's Tobacconist, and the smell of that place, you know, like, hey, you're a kid in the 90s, whatever, you're about 12 years old or whatever, and you wouldn't think that a smell out of a tobacco shop would actually be nice to you, wouldn't you? You wouldn't think so. But you can smell all the cigars and all the pipes, all that smell was absolutely just beautiful. And quite kind of fond memories going in there with, I can't remember, I think it was my granddad, I think, at the time, but my dad was good friends with the owner at the time as well. But he'd be in and out, he'd be talking to the owner as well, he was a gentleman back then, and going in there with him, and I can still remember that kind of smell in there. It was just nice. It's like, if anyone ever smelled off of a pipe, just picture that, you know, like in a room, but it's not a smoky room or anything like that. It's just, it had that unique kind of smell. It's kind of very, very hard to describe, but Phelan's Tobacco Shop, I remember that place well. And that's another thing, is a thing of the past as well, like tobacco shops. But now, with all the dangers of smoking now that we have and everything, you could probably hard to imagine now a tobacco shop kind of being around now in like 2020 now and the future, you know. So you can imagine the kind of trouble that would be in now if a tobacco shop reopened. Also, speaking then as well, Michael Street was open to traffic, but as well, back in the day, you could also drive up and down Barronstrand Street as well, down by the Clock Tower. And from Michael Street, you could drive all the way down. You'd pass down John Roberts Square, down Broad Street, down Barronstrand Street, then onto the quay. Then you could turn on the quay. They kind of just blocked the traffic in town, which I do miss. I actually do miss seeing the traffic going up and down the city. It kind of just makes it look more open and makes it more lively as well, you know. You have to kind of open up the town as well, the traffic, to let people go into town to shop, park in John Roberts Square back in the old days, go about your business, go into Pennies or go to City Square, then back out then and into your car and drive off, you know. But now, you know yourself, it's all changed. Back then, yeah, you could drive up and down Barronstrand Street, park in John Roberts Square, usually outside Pennies. I think you'd usually see all the taxis back then. They'd all be parked outside Pennies in the day, and you could nip into Egan's, have a pint or two, something to eat, and come out of the pub and into a taxi there. All the taxis be parked right outside the door. But yeah, it does look a bit different now, and but hey, look, things change. You know, sometimes there is traffic going up and down still, but for businesses, like if people are working in a shop or in Pennies or something, they can drive up there, whatever. But in the usual way it used to be to the public to drive up and down, them days are kind of gone now. Another one as well down on the Mall. This another building as well, the old ESB building. But what I liked about this building in particular, especially around Christmas time, it used to be all lit up. All these lights, as you see on the screen here, all the lights. Look at these lights. They just look beautiful, don't they? And it's a very kind of a building where it's an eye-opener. Like, you come into Waterford City and straight away you see something like that, you're going to look straight at it, aren't you? So, and also as well, we had the Bailey pub on Ballybricken. Now guys, this place, I won't lie, was probably one of my favourite places to go to when I was young as well. My sister and my dad used to always take me. Monday nights or so, used to have a pool competition in there. Every Monday there used to be like a kind of a pool competition. We'd have a game of killers. Not sure if you're familiar with a game of killers in pool, but a game of killers is basically you're given 3 lives. Your objective here is to pot a ball to save a life. So if you miss potting a ball, you lose 1 life, and so on. You pot the black ball, you gain a life. If you pot the white ball, you lose a life. So basically that went on every Monday. And also then you had a cool DJ in Waterford City, he's well known as well, DJ Sammy. He used to do a couple of karaoke in there as well, and I often went up and sang a song or two, and let me tell you, it was kind of quite embarrassing now, but it was a lot of fun back in them days, you know. Like, karaoke is kind of rare now, you know. Karaoke was a thing back in the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, but the Bailey had a lot of cool people in there. A lot of good regulars went in there. There's so many people, like, I just can't think of a hand, but it's kind of rare now to see a pub with a pool table now. It's normally a dartboard now, but pool tables, they were a thing at the pubs back in the day. And today when you walk into a pub and you'll see 1 or 2 of the lads on the pool table, you know for a fact they're holding the table for the night, you know. So it's going to be hard to get a game, or if you do get a game, you won't last long, you know. But the Bailey was a place to hang out in. The Bailey was a good place, and it's now actually Reddy's off license in Ballybricken now. The Bailey did close down in 2006, May 2006. I was in there, I think it was the middle of May or something. I think it was the Eurovision Song Contest was going on at the time. And I think a week or so later after that, it was gone. Another shop on Michael Street as well, taking another trip back to Michael Street. But remember I talked about where Abracadabra used to be on Michael Street beside Paddy Power as well. Opposite Paddy Power's, there was another cool sweet shop as well called O'Neill's. Now, O'Neill's was very popular as well for people going in and doing the lottery. You know, you're in town, you're doing your shopping, and you say, oh yeah, I forgot I'll go and do the lottery. You know, go and get yourself a lottery ticket or something. But O'Neill's was the place where they had all sweets. They had gaming magazines as well. They had all kind of novelty gifts as well in there. It was a great little shop as well. They had they kind of changed the layout quite a few times, but I remember you went in the door, they had a couple of aisles in the front. And up the very top then, on the right hand side, you had the counter then, and all the sweets were beside the counter, and there was more stuff up in the top left as well. But I remember that place very, 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 very well. And it's little places like that you just miss, you know, and especially with sweet shops as well. Did you ever get the kind of way where I mentioned Besco's earlier on? They had only this and they had only that, and O'Neill's had this and had that, you know. It was the kind of way where some shops only had their own items. So you're like, oh, I have to go down to O'Neill's and this is the only place where I can get this crisps, because Duns don't have it, or Besco's don't have it, or Londis don't have it. So I need to nip into O'Neill's and get it. So like that's where I used to get O'Neill's used to have like some sour sweets and stuff that I used to get as well, so I couldn't get them anywhere else. But O'Neill's had these specific sweets that I wanted. Like Besco's had the mini milks that I liked, you know, so you kind of had to go from one place to another to get what you wanted. But Waterford had that back in the day. You had all these kind of different shops to get whatever you wanted, you know. But O'Neill's, I miss O'Neill's. O'Neill's was a very cool shop. Nice people that worked in there as well. Another one as well then, popular around Halloween, is always going around to see the bonfires, and it's very rare now. Well, bonfires still do happen, and which we're not supposed to do it, but hey, look, it's a tradition. It's Ireland. We've always done bonfires at Halloween, even though we're told not to, but they still go ahead, you know. But back when I was a kid in the 90s, my dad used to take me out to we'd take a walk out to Lisdogan, and we'd see a couple of lads preparing themselves a couple of days beforehand. If you see a lot of guys around town carrying pallets or tires, well, you know exactly what they're up to, wouldn't you? You would know they were taken from somewhere too. Hey, look, we all did it. So if you worked in a place where you're fixing cars or something and you notice that your tires got robbed, well, they're going to be used for Halloween, obviously. And but yeah, we walk out to Lisdogan, and there used to be kind of like a little battle here as well. You had Lisdogan and Larchville, so who held the best bonfires as well. And you had Lisdogan's bonfire, then you could have had one in St. John's Park, you had one in Ballybeg, you know. There were different ones, and they're all kind of competing who had the best one, who had the biggest one, and you know, they were the days though. Halloween, going around to all the bonfires, and you see all the lads there, they'd be singing songs, or you know, they have these little sparkler things, and they'd be swinging them around the place, and all these cool times. Bonfires of Halloween back in the old days in the 90s. Now, with I was never kind of a big fan of sport, but there was one particular thing I did really enjoy playing as a kid, you know, innocent times, was a little game of handball. All you need, a tennis ball, a wall, and a mate, and that's it. Just play a game of handball. And you know, that kind of that made everything cool then, you know, like it's just a simple little thing, one tennis ball, a wall, and a handball. And a hand, obviously, you need your hand, don't you? Duh. And you just hit the ball against the wall, and something like that, just a small little thing like that made us all happy, you know. Walking through town now, or walking through streets, and you see kids on the street, but I never ever see any kids play handball now. I think it's a thing of the past. I'd never see it happen anymore. But it was a thing to play back in the day, and your hand would be absolutely in bits. Speaking of other things to be playing as well as kids, October-ish around then, but we pick up conkers, and we'd be throwing all these sticks up the trees, and the conkers be falling down, and we get the conkers, and if there were spikes on them, they were not ripe yet and stuff like that. But those were the days. We'd collect all these conkers, and we bring them into school as well. We'd put them on a shoelace as well, and we play a game of conkers in school, and they were the days. And a little kind of secret hack that some people did as well. It was cheating, but hey, it was the way to do it. You get a conker, and you'd put them in the freezer overnight. So when you go to school the next morning, the whole thing be frozen solid. And an easy way then you can win a game of conkers. And then we have out in Tramore as well. I'm going to take it back to Tramore just for a little wee moment, but Tramore as well, very special in the old days in the 90s as well, because it did hold two chippers out there. Two fine chippers. One is Cunningham's and one is Beach Grill. Cunningham's was up in Main Street where Dooley's chipper is now, and Beach Grill was actually down where Massimo's chipper is now, down on Strand Road. But Cunningham's chipper was kind of like a little journey now, because you had to climb that hill. That hill was a nightmare to climb, but hey, look, it was worth it if you were down swimming all day down on the beach with the folks or whatever, or you're in the Tramore Amusement Park taking a spin on the waltzers or whatnot, and your taste buds were very, very high and you were hungry. A little trip up to Cunningham's was worth it, because the chips were just mouth-watering. They were just mouth-watering. And Beach Grill as well. I remember in Beach Grill they had this kind of well, the way it is now is kind of smaller because the counter more closer to the door, but in Beach Grill there used to be kind of like a big long queue going in there. The counter was kind of further down in the shop, and I remember the queue. Well, you wouldn't be long queuing because like they were quick enough, and they're getting the food ready for you. It was all freshly prepared and stuff, so they knew what they were doing. And Beach Grill, I remember very well, they used to have these small little cartons. I'm gonna try and put up on the screen here if I can find one. And the chips were in one of those things. And I remember when you asked for salt and vinegar, and the vinegar on the chips, they'd soak the chips perfectly. It's just nice mouth-watering goodness. And then when you finish all the chips, you'd have all the vinegar at the very end of the carton. And me, what did I always do? As I mentioned earlier on with Skipper's Chipper, I just absolutely love vinegar. I'd drink the whole bottle of it if it was given to me. I wouldn't care.
Yummy.
When you're finished with chips and beach grill, and at the end of the carton, all the vinegar would be swimming in that little small white carton, and you just drink it back. You know, my parents used to give me a weird look. Oh, what are you doing drinking that vinegar? I said, what? What's wrong with that? It's nice, you know. And I still do it today. If there's a lot of vinegar in either if I'm having chips at home or whatever, and I smother it in vinegar and turn away all the chips, all the vinegar is on the plate, I just gulp it all back, you know. People give me weird looks. Another thing as well is Burger King, when they were by City Square. As you see here, back in the old days, we had Burger King right beside City Square. You can go in there and have a munch to eat. And they used to have nice burgers and chips in there. But City Square, to bring in a new kind of thing now, they have a thing called a food hall. That's upstairs in City Square now. Back in, as I mentioned earlier, when you used to have Games World or GameStop was upstairs. But all that department upstairs now holds the food hall now, where they have Abracadabra and lots of other good little places as well to have a little bite to eat in. Another one as well, when you can actually see there was houses on Newgate Street as well. Yes, houses used to be on Newgate Street. We all see Newgate Street now. It has that little New Street garden there, but there used to be all houses there back in the day. As you see on the screen here, houses were actually there. And it does look a bit weird to see now without those houses. It was nice. I think they should have kept the houses, I think. But yeah, okay guys, that's about all I have for you in this video growing up in Waterford, because that's all I can think of at the moment. And if I do come up with more, I might do a part 2 on this as well. But for the meantime, that is what I have for you. Those are my memories of growing up in Waterford City. And look, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it as well. I hope it did bring back some memories as well for you, as it did for me, looking back in these pictures as well and talking about them as well. I do hope it brought back some good, delightful memories for you as well. Speaking about those old shops that are gone now and the pubs that are gone, you know, they're all gone now. Always remember one thing: it's great to have memories because no one can take those away from you, so you keep in your heart forever. But it's nice to hold on to those memories and close your eyes sometimes and just think back to all those good times, those good happy memories, those good times in Waterford. But anyway, okay, I'm going to wrap the video up. Thank you once again for watching, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Just click on that button there, it's free. And if you have subscribed already, thank you once again. Thank you once again for subscribing and hanging around and checking out my YouTube channel. It's always greatly appreciated. So I'm going to leave it here, guys. Thank you once again. Hope this video brought back a lot of good memories for you, as it did for me. Thank you, folks, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Aaron Ryan signing off. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.